Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Updog here, and today I've got my global section of the Professor X Saga. Yes, it is the Shadow King is the end boss for this section, and I'm gonna go over the. Let's see. It starts with the global villain section, and then we'll go over the global hero section. After recording the battles that I did, that you're going to see here in a few minutes, I did some more testing and it looks like a three-piece Orcus could get through that section, the global villain section. You bring along two other global villains as long as they can survive, which isn't too much of a problem because the enemies aren't that strong, I guess. And so what I did in my testing was I did Omega Red Phoenix Force, and I even did Zugs in there as a fifth. So I've had some people say, well, what about Zombie Scarlet Witch? I think she would be fine because she's newer stats. Think she'll survive. She is kind of slow, so if you do that ult with Scientist Supreme, it's gonna put a slow on her, gonna make her even slower. But then by the time Scientist Supreme goes around for her special, it'll flip that slow so to speed up, and then Scarlet Witch could take a turn. So yeah, I think definitely a three-piece with some other characters, given the section is like a medium difficulty. I think you would be fine doing that if you want to try and save on some gear, because doing a full Orcus is a lot of tech gear. Even though Lady Deathstrike is a little bit cheaper, she's like only two pieces instead of three, it's still a lot of tech gear. So, three-piece Orcus, I think, with a couple other characters, Mega Red Phoenix, he was doing great. He was doing amazing damage. I do have a five red, five yellow. So that was, probably going to be a little bit higher stars than most people. But yeah, I think that'll work. And then the Hero Global section, I think for sure there's really no way around it. There's no way of going cheaper on gear. You're going to have to take Cap Sam, Peggy, Falcon Joaquin, and Patriot. And then the fifth is, I don't think it's going to matter too much. On the boss, that Shadow King boss, he does copy the characters that you bring in as well. So I've tried Ancient One, I tried Jean Grey as a fifth. They're all fairly pretty much the same, basically. Ancient One's a little tricky because the when the Shadow King copies your team and the Ancient One is an enemy, all the enemies get extra turn bar, and so they all go before your team, and Ancient One will special and she'll put counters on everyone, so that makes it a little tricky. But I think Emma, X-Men, the new Emma, is probably the best choice to go with the four-piece Liberty. So I'm gonna roll the footage with my voiceover there. So I will see you at the end here. All right, we are here with the first node of the global villains section. And now this is the medium difficulty, essentially, for the Shadow King section for the Professor X Saga. So, using Reina's account, like I said, she's amazing for letting me run through this and make content. But I ended up using just a full Orcus team on these nodes, and they pretty much just blow through it, so there won't be too much like specific targeting. Now I did go after a Storm here because she is the first one to take a turn. She has the fastest speed, so took her out and a bunch of others. Now we're on to the second wave here, and it's really not too bad. Jean is technically going to be the first one to take a turn, but Omega Sentinel did get a stun on her, so she's pretty much a non-factor now. Decided to go for the Polaris. Bishop is stunned as well, so he wouldn't retaliate. If you don't get a stun on him, then he would retaliate, but I don't think it'd be that big a deal because he's a pretty old character. Probably doesn't have his stats tuned up very high for this section, especially since it's the medium difficulty. And yeah, pretty much easy nodes through this whole section. And we are on to the second mission now. Gonna go in with full Orcus. We got a couple of Black Knights on this one. And some Pegasus members. Captain Carter as well, but really nothing too, too concerning. The Black Knights do spawn with charges, so they will ping you, but again, because it's kind of a medium type difficulty, it's really nothing that bad. I do decide to go with the ult here, clear out all those characters, delete the Black Knights. Get rid of the Kestrel and the Captain Carter. And then we go after the Cosmic Ghost Rider. Actually, there's two of them here, but I decided to go to the one on the right. No real big threats here because they don't have turn meter, boosted on spawn, luckily. So Orcus is so fast, they have all that speed up, and it's not really an issue for them. So basically for this section, really as long as you have the gear requirements, it shouldn't matter really too much who you take. So it might be an opportunity to take some cheaper gear characters just so you can get through it faster. Alright, the third mission, here we go. I was just taking a look and see what Reyna had for other options. I'm considering myself taking Omega Red Phoenix. Here we go, third mission. Really not too scary yet of characters in there. Gonna go ahead and ult on the Mockingbird. Gonna delete all of those characters there, Coulson and Penny Parker. Gonna do the basic on Ghost Spider just to save some cooldowns for the next wave. But really, it honestly really doesn't matter on these because the enemies are just so easy to take down. We special on the Pav just so that he doesn't take a turn. We're going to special with Lady Deathstrike on the Peter B. Parker. He's basically dead. We're going to ult with Omega Sentinel. Ult with the Sentinel to clear them out. And that's the end of that one. So already quickly, in 5 minutes, we got three of the first three missions done. Two missions left. Now the Zemo on this mission does hinder you a little bit just because his passive will put disrupt on summons or minions. But it's still not too bad. There is a blade on here, so you do have to be careful of using the Scientist Supreme ult. So we don't want to do that onto Blade because then he'll flip the slow into speed up. And there is a Moon Knight back there, I believe, and a Man-Thing, so we don't want Blade flipping those onto the Night Stalker allies of Blades there. So it looks like I did do the ult, I think just to prove that even if you do ult, it doesn't really matter because the enemies are just pretty weak, pretty insignificant, I guess, compared to the Orcus characters. So we put an ability block on the Moon Knight. Actually, we kill the Moon Knight. And the Omega Sentinel ult does some great damage. Clears out almost all that wave. Man-Thing's kind of thick, so we're trying to get through him. Trying to get to the next wave here. I just decided to ult with Nimrod onto the Man-Thing, get him out of there. Then we have an ult with Lady Deathstrike. I wanted to go after the Agatha just so she didn't put like Blade or Oath into stealth. Blade should bleed out, it looks like. But I'm not going to take any chances, so we'll take him out. Then we're going to focus on Oath. Put an offense down on her just in case she does take a turn. And pretty much just clean up from here. So the enemies left on this wave that's all we have left on this whole mission. So yep, just clean them up and move on to the next one. The boss mission is what we're going into now. So again, we're going to go with the full Orcus team and show you how it works against the boss mission, or the last mission, I guess. Not really the boss, because the boss is on the hardest difficulty. But this is the last mission for this section for the global villains. Super easy. Omega Sentinel, she stuns mutants and tech characters, so it's nice to use her here to try and stun the... Well, you can't stun, I guess you can't stun Shadow King, but we did get a stun on the Emma. Emma fell over there. We got some Eternals that popped in, so we're going to focus on them. Just in case that Icarus is strong enough to kill some of the summon bots. And we are going to do an ult here. Wipe the board clean. There you go. Not too bad. Global villain. I think you could pretty much take any new stat character. Try and go as cheap as you can, cheap as possible on gear for that. So up next is going to be the hardest difficulty for the Shadow King section, and this is Global Heroes. And so Liberty is the recommended team for this section, but I did want to showcase that at least for most of the nodes you can do other options. So I chose Mighty Avengers because that's what Reyna had built, and they actually did pretty well. I mean, Liberty will just completely walk over these nodes. Easy, you could just throw it on auto basically, but I did want to showcase that yes, you can use other teams. However, on the boss node, it's very, very difficult to win without Liberty. So be mindful of that. If you do go with Mighty Avengers, it's going to be a really hard time to try and get past that boss node. Not saying it's impossible, but it will take a lot of resets if you go with something other than Liberty. And I think a Liberty 4-piece without War Machine and then a 5th could work. I ended up using Emma, which you'll see here shortly. I thought Emma was a good choice, but we'll talk about that when we get to that node. So far, yeah, Mighty Avengers did a great job on that node. Wasn't too hard. Now I did use Cap Sam obviously with this team as well, just to give them some extra speed. So we got Cap Sam and Falcon giving a bunch of speed bar. Alright, so mission number 2, we're starting off And Medusa is going first, and then Vol gets to go. Then we get Hercules gets a turn. Now the Alliance War mode is active in this section, or in this, in the Global Heroes part. So that's why Liberty does so well, and that's why Mighty Avengers does really well, because they have their war abilities turned on for this. So I did mess around with, like Illuminati and some of the other like absolute A-Force choices or characters, but they just weren't that great of an option compared to Mighty Avengers and Liberty. So thought I would at least showcase that, yes, if you really like Mighty Avengers, then they are definitely a viable option. Like I said, could just take a while, a lot of resets to try and beat that boss, the Shadow King boss. So Hercules with a big old ult and almost cleared the whole board there. Falcon's wings, I didn't even notice that. Going a little crazy. Cap Sam with the taunt there. Hercules has another special, so we're going to go into Sylvie. Go with the special to heal up from Scarlet Witch. We want to kill that Medusa, get her out of there. She can do a lot of damage, so that's why we took her out. I was just trying to decide there for a minute, like at the time, who should I take out? Because of the fact that you have to get 3 stars on these missions, it kind of makes you think a little more on how you want to approach taking out some of these characters. So, mission number 3. Global Heroes. This mission is going to be very hard to if you choose to go with Mighty Avengers, because we have 2 pandas going. They're draining 20% of your health when they do an ult, so 20 times 2, 40% of your health. Then you have Old Man Logan going. Sure, he's not flipping any of your buffs because you have immunity and safeguard with the Mighty Avengers, but he also assists and gets speed bar that way, so it's very rough. This one is very difficult to get through as well. So I wanted to show you that, again, it's not impossible, but it's very difficult to get through. So that's why just take Liberty. It'll make your experience a lot better because you'll get through it a lot easier. And yeah, unfortunately that's the case so far with City. And then with this section, Hero Global, it's basically forcing your hand to have to use Liberty. And, well, specific teams, I should say. So, forcing your hand here to use Liberty, but in the City section, forcing your hand having to use Vigilantes. That part of the saga I'm not a big fan of. So, hopefully down the road there'll be other characters that we can use that will make it easy still, so that way we have more of a choice. That's how it's been for some of the Dark Dimensions of the past. I know this isn't Dark Dimension, but it's still kind of the same ideas and philosophy applies to this saga. So we're going to go in here with Liberty, and we're going to use Emma. I was trying to decide who to use, but landed on Emma just because she is a great character in a lot of different modes: War, Crucible, So I felt that that would be a good 5th option to use. And wouldn't be a regretful decision to have her built up. So now the Liberty is going in here on this 3rd mission. We're going to go into Old Man Logan. Going to hard target him. He's still getting his special off. You can't stun Logan unless he's below 50% health. So that's why I'm trying to decide who do I want to stun. I did decide to put a slow on him anyway. He didn't stun him, but putting that slow definitely helps a lot to control him. The Cap Sam ult should do some decent damage. We have... Okay, now the death proof is off the Old Man Logan. He died, but he does have a revive, so we got to get through him one more time here. We're going to ult with Falcon here. Doesn't do a lot of damage on that ult. We got a heal from Panda. We got an ult coming from Old Man Logan. Not very good to have him do that. But what can you do? You just got to kind of deal with it. And keep on going after him. There we go, a nice hit from Patriot, and the ping from Peggy takes out Old Man Logan, and now the threats are gone, pretty much. If you can take out that Dakin, obviously, sooner the better, just to kind of reduce the damage that you're getting from him onto your team. Wanted to get a stun on the Panda, just so that he doesn't do anything crazy. There we go, Dakin's out of there, and finishing off with the Panda there. So there you go, that was mission 3. On to mission 4. This one should be pretty quick and easy with the Liberty 4-piece with Emma. So this is all Illuminati characters. So they're going to take quite a few turns here. And so this some of it might be a little bit RNG, because if the Captain Britain stuns like Emma or something, that's not going to be great. So might have to reset that. Honestly, I would just play it through, and if you lose somebody, then that's when you reset. Because you never know, you could always get through it, even if a key character gets stunned right off the bat. Patriot just cleaning house. And we are on to the last wave here. The Emma special is great to use on Doom because it ability blocks him, so he can't do his ult. And then also it gets a mind control, so that actually killed him. Just got Shuri and Hank left. They're pretty easy cleanup. They might take a few turns here and there, but they are not too bad to get through. Alright, so there we have it. That's the end of mission 4. Going on to the boss node now. So I did want to show you guys Mighty Avengers, the Mighty Avengers team that I used at the beginning of the video. Wanted to show you how it goes against the boss. And then we'll show you Liberty, how Liberty goes. So what happens in this boss is Shadow King, he copies all the characters that you're using on your team, he basically makes a copy of. So you have to fight yourself plus a Shadow King. And they do get extra turn meter, it seems like. So they will pretty much all take a turn before you get a chance to take a turn. So that's, I don't know, for me it's not fun. It's not fun to sit there and wait and get attacked all the time, but I get the idea of it being a boss. It needs to be kind of unique and interesting and stuff like that. So we're going to heal up with Scarlet Witch. We're going to give us some speed bar with Falcon. We're going to go after the enemy Falcon just so he doesn't use his speed bar, his special, because he's already ulted. So his next turn is going to be that special and give speed bar. So we don't want that. Cap Sam is ability blocked. I did that with Vision, so the enemy Cap Sam anyway. So that part isn't a problem. Gonna go with an ult here from Falcon. He wipes out quite a bit of people. And Cap Sam is gonna give some more speed bar, wipe out the rest of those characters. And then I'm not sure if this is part of like what Shadow King does, but somehow he gets stunned, and he gets stunned again with Liberty as well. So I need to go and see, kind of pay more attention to the specifics of the boss node, but that happening twice makes me think it is supposed to be part of it, but I'll take it. I'll take an easy way to finish him off. So here's the Liberty Emma team. So yeah, Mighty Avengers with Cap Sam can beat the boss node. It's just that Old Man Logan mission is really tough. And I believe the Liberty Emma match, it takes longer than the Mighty Avengers match. I mean, they can still get through it pretty easy, but the Mighty Avengers one just went a lot faster because you have better AoEs from Hercules and from Falcon and from Cap Sam. So this one's more of a whittle them down kind of team. And war abilities are active, like I said, so it's nice that Liberty functions really well with those in this saga here. So we do have to control some of these characters like Cap Sam, and I like to control the Patriot just because he can do a lot of damage. And then we have Emma out there too that can be a problem. So the idea here is to just control the characters that you can get to. Shadow King's going to be stealth most of the match. But if you control those key characters that will hurt you, then yeah, you just gotta take them down, and then you can get to Shadow King. So I was looking at the different bonuses, I guess, that this Shadow King gets, and it doesn't say anything about stun, but there's that stun again. So I don't know exactly what's going on here, but once he's stunned, you can obviously take him out pretty quick. It doesn't say anything about that, so I don't know if he just stays stunned for one turn, and then that's when he copies your whole team again, or what, because I did have that happen in some of my testing, but I hope that was helpful for you. be on the lookout for the next section, which is the Dark Xavier section that has the Cosmic Villain and Cosmic Heroes. And yeah, hopefully let me know if you have any questions in the comments about who to take and advice that you might have questions on. All right, so there you have it. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of that. I hope you liked some of that Mighty Avengers footage as well. They can, like I said, they can be useful in the saga if you really like them over Liberty. The problem is that Old Man Logan node. It's just really rough. So if you can figure out a way past that, I tried it like 3 or 4 times, resetting, couldn't get through it. So maybe if you can figure out a way to get past that, then Mighty Avengers might be an option too. That those war buffs definitely help. So, but yeah, let me know down in the comments. Until next time, make sure you spend those resources wisely, and we will see you around.